today we're going to talk about decimal place value and multiplying and dividing by 10. Okay? So do you see on my paper sideways and the decimal, this is where we're going to put the decimals right here. Okay? Let's label this place value chart. Tell me what goes here.
1.
Okay, write it, everything out today. No abbreviations. We've got room. Let's write it all out. And what goes in this?
10.
Tens. And hundreds. Now, a few days ago, we learned about the decimal place values. And if you forgot, you can just look up at the place value chart in the room. But what goes right after the decimal? Tenths. Go ahead and write it out. It's just the word 10 with THS on it. Okay? And then what goes here? Hundreds. So it's just the word 100 with THS. Okay? All right, we're going to start with the number 3. 3 ones. Okay? And this is what we're going to go ahead and write the 3 down and then put the 3 dots. Okay? Now this is where I might need your help because I want to review 4th grade quickly before we start today. Okay? So if I multiply this 3 times 10, what happens to the dots? Go ahead, Miguel. What?
They go together and go to the tens?
Well, they do. They kind of move together. But before they move together, I'm going to bundle them. Exactly. But let's just say I start with 3. I multiply it by 10. What's my answer?
30.
30. So how many dots do I need to have here
10.
before I can bundle? 10 in 10 in each row, right? So when, now I figured out I only have to count the first one, and then I can just put them right across from it. Did you figure that out last year in 4th grade when you were doing this? Okay, so then after I have those drawn, you guys have those drawn?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to bundle them. And I don't know if you bundled like this or not.
Yeah.
Okay. And after I bundle, it's like we're going to visualize them in our mind just moving into one dot, right?
1 dot.
Okay. And maybe even on Zern, it will show it like that. You can visualize it, okay? And do they have arrows on Zern or not?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? Well, don't answer if you don't remember. And then a lot of times, so that's going to give me 3 tens, right? Okay. And a lot of times, you might even see it written like this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So is that kind of refreshing your memory? All right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm going to show you how it looks in 5th grade because it doesn't look like this anymore. We're assuming you remember all this and you know what it does, what the dots do and how they move. And so, oh, and another way we might write this is we might write 3 ones, I'm thinking here, times 10 equals 3 tens. Okay, so go ahead and write that down because it's just a little review. Okay, so now that you've got that much written, I want you to draw a line. And it just so happens I'm a lucky person because I have a straight line tool. But I just want you to draw a line right there, right across, and then go ahead and draw another line underneath it. And I'm going to show you what it looks like in 5th grade. Okay, don't you wish you were me?
Yes.
I know. There's a straight line on the iPad, so when you start using that software on the iPad and using my slides, you'll get to do a straight line. Isn't that so exciting? Okay, go ahead and put a decimal there. Okay. So here's what it looks like in 5th grade. I'm going to write a 3, no dots, just a 3, okay? And if I multiply times 10, I'm going to write times 10 on top of my arrow. Do you see how my arrow's crossing over? And it's moving down to the next row. That's all we do in 5th grade. So 3 times 10.
Wow, that's easy.
I know.
Wow.
All this stuff you did in 4th grade was just building a foundation for what really happens. Now that you know what really happens, life gets pretty simple, doesn't it? Okay?
I feel like
So, no, I'm not joking. Okay, so I want you to draw another line, and we're going to review what division looks like, and then we're going to be done reviewing. Okay? Okay, so draw a line right here. So let's just say I have 3 tens. Okay? And I want to divide by 10. Remind me what that looks like. Maybe on Zern. This is what I had to ask Mrs. Hiddle because I couldn't quite remember. They just moved back and they spread apart, she said.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move them back. So move this one back. Move that one back. Spread it apart to 10. And so this would be 3 tens divided by 10 equals 3 ones. But I guess we have to bundle to show our 3 maybe? I'm sort of making that part up because I had to ask your 4th grade teacher and I still really don't know. I need to watch a 4th grade Zern lesson, don't I? Yeah. Okay. So that's what division looks like. Now, draw a line. You know what's coming, don't you? And you're going to assume I'm not joking this time, right? Okay. And I'm out of room. Are you out of room?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to use this part at the bottom as part of my place value chart, okay? And this is what it looks like in 5th grade. 3 tens divided by 10 equals 3 ones. And that is a review of 4th grade place value. I'm sure that we'll come across this concept again, and you might even see it on Zern when you do lesson 1. I'm not even sure, okay? All right, so now we're ready. Let's start working on 5th grade stuff. How's that sound? Okay, so take your place value. It says lesson 1, template 2. Take that in front of you, and I've got to go back a few slides to get to what I want here. Okay, now, this place, lesson 1, template 2. You have that in front of you? Yeah. Okay, this place value chart's labeled, I notice. All right? And as we fill out this place value chart, I'm going to use some terms with you that you might not have heard before. Or maybe you did, okay? But what I want to do is I want to start with 1 million. So I just want to put a 1 in the millions place, okay? And I want to divide by 10. So remind me the 5th grade way of showing divide by 10.
Move it over.
And we're going to go down a row when we go over, okay? And what do I write on top of the arrow? Divide by 10, and I just move my 1, okay? Okay, so now that I have that done, let's talk about it. This is something you might not have heard before. I bet you have heard that 1 million is 10 times as large as 100,000. Have you heard that before?
Yeah.
1 million is 10 times as large as 100,000 because every time you move over, it's 10 times bigger. I know you learned that last year, okay? But this is something new. I don't know if you heard this. 100,000 is 1/10 as large as 1 million. 1/10. Does that sound familiar? Here's what I'm talking about when I say 1/10. I'm not talking about the tenths place, just this fraction right here. Does that look familiar? Okay, so I could say that 100,000 is 1/10 as large as 1 million, okay? And when I divide, I'm going to use 1/10. When I multiply, I'm going to use times 10. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's divide again. By 10. And I can say 10,000 is 1/10 as large as 100,000. Okay? Let's keep going. And I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I want you to keep dividing till you get to the ones place. Can you do that for me?
Yeah.
And stop when you get to the ones place. It's kind of nice that you don't have to rewrite it. You're just going straight down the place value chart. Well, diagonally. And it looks like we need to fill in decimals. Okay, did you get to the ones place yet?
Yes. Yes.
Now, how do I know I'm at the ones place even though I can't see the words? Because I know the ones place is right before you get to the decimal, okay? And this is where I want to start saying these again. Did I forget to write a 1? Okay, so 1 divided by 10 equals what? 1 what?
1/10.
1/10. Very good. And it's 1/10 as large too, isn't it? Okay. 1/10 divided by 10 is 100. Now say it with me. 100. You don't need the S on it though, and less. Right. Okay. And 100 divided by 10 equals
1,000.
1,000. Okay. So guess what place value we're going to work from? Millions to what? Thousands. Okay. Millions to thousands. And maybe I need to put a bracket around that. These are the 5th grade place values that we'll typically work with. Okay. I'm pointing to the place value chart. So the ones on the outside are just there in case you ever have a harder problem that goes past 5th grade questions, okay? So now what I want to do, you've got another side to your place value chart, correct? And you've got a paper with problems on it. Okay, so you need both of those beside you. Okay? And we're going to work on problems, putting them on the place value chart. So, you remember those straight lines I was drawing? I think I'm going to need some more of them. So, I'm going to put them on here. So, this is going to go to the thousands. Oh, that wasn't perfect, was it? You wish you were me, don't you? No? You don't want to be a math teacher. Okay. That's going to help me out. So now we've got 4/10 that we're going to put on the place value chart. I notice mine doesn't have the decimals, but yours does. Correct? Okay. So I'm going to put 4/10 on the place value chart. And I'm going to multiply times 10. So which way do I go? Left or right?
Left.
So I'm going to multiply times 10. We're not going to do all these on the place value chart. And I end up with what?
4 ones.
4 ones. And I'm going to write that down. And if I have 4 ones, and I multiply that times 10, what do I get?
4 tens.
4 tens. Without the TH, right. And if I have 4 tens times 10, are you writing these? Are you writing these on the paper where the problems are? Are you writing
Yes.
answers? Okay.
400.
400, right? So 4 tens times 10. Uh-oh, Mrs. Lewis, don't forget to write times 10. Did you guys remember it?
Yep.
So this one doesn't have a TH on it, okay? And could we keep going and going and going? We can. We're not going to because I want to save room on your place value chart. So let's just write answers, okay? So 400s times 10 would be what? 4,000s. And you can just go ahead and write answers. And 4,000s times 10.
10,000.
4 10,000s. Now, does anyone remember what place value we're working with when we say 4 10,000s?
1,000. 1 million.
Is it unit form, word form, expanded
Unit
form,
form.
standard
Unit.
form?
Unit.
Unit, you're right. Unit is a mixture of numbers and words. And we work with that a lot in 5th grade. Okay, let's keep going. Got more problems. They look a little interesting to me. What do you notice about these problems? They're a little different. They're all division.
And decimals.
And we're starting with some decimals. What else is different?
It's not unit form.
They're not unit form. This is standard form. Good. What else?
There's 6s?
You're starting with the same number each time.
Oh.
Okay? And then what happens to the
It
divisor?
gets bigger.
Oh yeah, it's not all, they're not all 10s, are they? Okay, so we're going to start with 6 ones, and we're going to go slowly because you're going to go back and forth from your paper to your place value chart, okay? So start with 6 ones, put that on there. I don't think I need very many. Okay. So 6 ones divided by 10. Which way do I go? Left or right?
Right.
Right. So divided by 10. What do I get for my answer?
6 tenths.
6 tenths. Watch my pen so you can see how I'm figuring these out. 6 in the tenths place, okay? Do you remember how to write 6/10? We did it the other day. 0.6. Now this might be the first time you have ever done a division problem that the number you start with is less than your divisor.
Yep.
Okay, I bet you would look at this and say, well, I can't do that. And now you know that you can because you know decimal place value is going to help you do that. Because moving digits across a place value chart goes past the ones place now, doesn't it? Okay, so now how's this problem different?
Because it goes to 100.
Okay, so we're going to divide by 100. 100. Now don't write anything yet because we're going to need lines. At least I'm going to need lines. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go down another row, put 6 ones on there again. So go down another row. This is different because we're not just going to keep going from where we did last time. We're going to go back and start over, okay? So 6 ones divided by 100. Now what do you think I'm going to do to show that I'm dividing by 100 instead of 10? Well, you don't go down twice, but you're on the right track. You do something twice.
You multiply 6 2 times?
You're going to actually go over 2. So you're going to go down 1 and over 2. Okay? Here's what it looks like. Divided by 100. Okay, so put that on your place value chart. Okay, got it? How am I going to write that? Now the answer is 6, what? Hundredths. How am I going to write that?
0 0
0 point. Good.
0
0.06. And technically, I'm going to change my color, but technically, on the place value chart, we did that the other day, didn't we? Okay?
Oh, yeah.
But I don't want you to do that today. That's why I wrote them in blue, okay? Don't want you to get confused by all the zeros. Okay, so the next problem, we're going to go down to the next row and write 6 ones again. Uh-oh, I'm still in blue. Here we go. All right. Now I'm dividing by what?
1,000.
1,000. So what do you think now?
3 times.
Go over 3, but still go down to the next row. Just go down 1. So here, watch my pen. So I'll put the 6 there. What do I write on the arrow? Divided by 1,000. And if I were putting zeros on the place value chart, how many zeros would I need? 3. So my answer is going to be 0.006. And how do I say that? 6 thousandths. Okay. How do you feel about that? Pretty good? All right. I'm going to pause it for just a minute. Okay, let's take a look at the next problem. 7/10. So on the place value chart, I'm going to start with 7/10. And it says divided by 10. So 7/10 divided by 10. Which way do I move?
Right.
To the right. Okay. So I'll go divided by 10 and put the 7 in the hundredths place. Now, how do I write my answer here? I'm going to write 7 hundredths. How do I write it? 0.07. Good. And if I filled in my place value chart with zeros, that's what it would look like. Okay, in fact, I'm pretty sure I could just put zeros all the way down this row, couldn't I? Okay, so let's look at the next one. It says 7/10 divided by 100. So 7/10 Put a 7 in the tens place. And if I divide by 100, how many place values do I move? 2. So it's going to go here. Okay, so 7, what? 7 thousandths. Good. 0.007. Oh, what did I forget to do? I didn't write divided by 100. Yeah, that was 100. Now, has anybody figured out the relationship between the zeros and moving the digits? What do you think it is?
There's no more digits.
No. I'm talking about these zeros right here. There's a relationship. Okay, you ready? What?
On the end of the decimal, there's 46 divided by 10. There's 1 0 in the 10, and there's a 0 in front of the 6.
Right. And here we have 2 zeros and 3 zeros. That wasn't actually what I was talking about. That's just a coincidence. There's another thing I want you to notice with the zeros.
They're all zeros.
No. It has to do with the place value chart and how far they move. No. I'm just gonna go ahead and erase these zeros right here. And I just want you to look at the number of boxes they move over. Alexia.
They move over twice the amount that they have.
So here's what I want you to notice, okay? If 10 has 1 0 in it, the number just moves over 1 place value. 100 has 2 zeros in it. The number moves over 2 place values. 1000 has 3 zeros in it. That we started with 6 ones, didn't we? The 6 moved over how many places? How many? 3. So the number of zeros matches the number of place values you move the digits. Okay, let's do try the last one on your own. 5 hundredths is what you need to get on your place value chart. So a 5 in the hundredths place, and it says we're going to divide by 10. So that gives me a 5 in what place? 5 in the thousandths. And it just so happens that it has 3 zeros in it. And that, see, look here, that doesn't match my number of zeros, does it? So this part up here was just a coincidence. What I wanted you to notice is the number of zeros in your divisor matches the number of places you move across the place value chart. Okay, let's look at the next one. We're doing great on time. Okay, we're dividing by 10, 100, and 1,000 again. But what's different about these problems? The bigger numbers? Alexia?
They have a whole number and a decimal.
Well, the answer will have a whole number and a decimal, you're right. But let's start with 745. And we're going to divide that by 10. Were you remembering to write this on your other paper? Okay, and we're going to divide 745 by 10, so divided by 10. And now, yes?
You skipped one.
Yeah, you skipped
a
one.
box.
I skipped a box? Oh, I think are mine in the wrong order? Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I changed that, but apparently I didn't. Sorry about that. Okay, so 2.43. Does anyone remember how to say that number?
$2.40.
Well, yes, if we're talking money. Instead of dollars, what do we say in place of the decimal?
2.42. 2.40.
You're close. It's not points. 2.
2 and 43. No, 2 and 43.
Alexia? Very good. So 2 and 43 hundredths. Everybody say it with me. 2 and 43 hundredths. And if I multiply that by 10, how many place values across the place value chart is it going?
1.
Good. So 2, 4, 3. Now I am pretty picky. You have to put 3 arrows because you're moving 3 digits, okay? But you only have to write times 10 on the first one. Fair enough? Okay. So the answer is 24.3. How do I say that number? Go ahead, George.
24 and 3 tenths.
Good. And here's what I want to show you. Eyes up here. 24 and 3. And if you can't remember what to say, just look right up at the top. Okay? 3 tenths. Very good. Okay, let's start with 2 and 43 hundredths again. So 2 and 43 hundredths. And what are we dividing by this time?
100.
100. So how many place values will we move?
2.
2. And you know that because 100 has what? How many zeros?
2.
So this is where sometimes my arrows are a little curved. So I'm not writing in the boxes. And sometimes they end up being straight. So what do I get for my answer on this one? Just say it, guys. What's the number? 243. And you don't have to say and, do you? Just 243. Okay? Let's go back and do one more. Okay. So 2 and 43 hundredths times 1,000. How many place values am I moving this time?
3.
Okay. So my 2 will go 3 places. Times 1,000. Now, am I done?
Yes. No.
No, you still gotta.
Go ahead and tell me.
You still gotta add a 0 behind 3.
You're right. I have to fill in with zeros until I get to the decimal. Okay? Because technically this is a 0 right here, isn't it?
Yeah.
We just don't write it. So technically it's a 0 moving over. Okay, how do I say this answer? Go ahead and say it. 2,430. Okay, let's go back to that other slide. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, last one. This won't take us long. 745 divided by 10. You have enough place value space?
Yes.
Turn it over if you don't. Start fresh on the other side. Okay, so I'm starting with 745. I'm dividing by 10. How many zeros are in 10? 1. So I move 1 place. Which way do I go when I divide?
Right.
To the right. You need 3 arrows, but you only have to write divided by 10 on the first one. So that gives me 74.5. 74.5. Beverly, you want to try and say that number? How do you think we're going to say that number? What's this part of it? 74 and
5/10.
very good. Everybody say it. 74 and 5/10. Start with 745 again. This time we're dividing by what?
100.
100. 2 zeros in 100. How many place values over do I move?
2.
2. $7.45. Okay, Jair, try and say that one for us.
7 and 45 hundredths.
Good. Now don't forget, if you get confused, after you say 45, look up at the place value. That will help you. Okay? Good job. Okay, 745 again. Divided by 1,000.
3.
3 place values. Very good. How did you know it was 3?
Because there's 3.
There's 3 zeros in 1,000. Don't forget to write divided by 1,000. Now this one, you're going to have to put an extra something or other on it. What is it? You got to put a 0 in front. So who would like to try and say this number? Alexia. Now I'm going to tell you something. You don't need to say any of this. Okay? So if you pretend that's not there, what number is that?
745,000.
Very good. Everybody say it.
745,000.